Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is highly practical, extremely relevant, and it's really custom tailored for you. Whether you're planning a trip abroad or managing international finances or even just trying to understand all those sales emails that flood your inbox.
Yeah, we're building the ultimate essential English toolkit for this stuff, for shopping and finance.
Exactly. We want to take you from feeling, maybe a little overwhelmed at the checkout counter to becoming a financially proficient traveler and consumer.
And that really is the core mission. We dove into a really dense collection of source material. I mean, hundreds of phrases, common dialogues, technical vocabulary.
And the goal isn't just to list words.
Not at all. It's not about what the words mean, but how to actually deploy them effectively, in real time. Mastering this specific area is, I think, an essential life skill.
Well, think about it. You need this proficiency in every store, every market, every single restaurant.
When you're booking travel across every online platform you use, it's everywhere.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The sources we analyzed give us a pretty complete roadmap for what we're calling the savvy shopper's journey. We're going to start the moment you walk through the door, how to interact with staff, the core vocabulary of, value and price.
The critical distinctions between payment methods. That's a big one.
A huge one. And then how to navigate those more complicated situations like returns and troubleshooting. And crucially, the cultural context of things like tipping and how to negotiate respectfully.
Yeah, we really need to move beyond just simple definitions and give you the nuance. We'll be looking at the difference between, say, what's written on the receipt and what's actually expected socially.
Right.
Our goal is for you to walk away not just knowing the language, but the cultural etiquette that goes along with the whole transaction.
Let's start right at the threshold of the store then. The culture of that initial greeting in English-speaking retail environments is, I think, a key first hurdle. It seems simple, but there's a definite social code underneath it.
Absolutely. That standard-friendly greeting serves a dual purpose. First, it establishes a welcoming, non-aggressive atmosphere. And second, it's a subtle way to gauge your immediate needs.
Okay, so you'll hear the classics.
Right, the polite and direct ones that invite engagement if you need it.
For example, the very traditional, "Good morning, welcome to our store. How can I help you today?"
That phrase is a direct invitation. If you know exactly what you need, a size 10 blue shirt, you can just jump right in and save time.
But then there's the other one, the one that's a little softer.
Yes, the more common approach, which is really designed to relieve pressure.
Yeah.
Hi there. Feel free to look around and let me know if you need any assistance.
That's the one I hear most often.
And the key phrase there is "let me know." It puts the control back in your hands.
That distinction is so crucial. If a staff member says that second phrase, they are, in effect, giving you permission to just exist in the space without an immediate obligation to talk to them.
Exactly. They are setting up a boundary of respectful distance, which is, often preferred by shoppers in North America, the UK, Australia, places like that.
And this brings us to the importance of the customer's response. You need to have phrases that immediately signal your intent.
Right. If you engage, you're basically saying, "I have a mission here." If you don't, you're saying, "I value my independence right now."
So if you are just looking, the polite and I think universally understood response is, "Thank you, I'm just browsing for now."
We found that phrase is so effective. It's the linguistic signal that communicates, "I appreciate the offer, but I don't need your help just yet."
That three-word clarification, "just browsing now," is maybe the most important opening phrase you can learn in retail English.
I think it is. It allows the assistant to step back, focus on other people, and it respects your privacy. But conversely, if you do need help, you transition immediately.
How would that sound?
Actually, yes, I'm looking for a birthday gift for my friend. Or, I'm trying to find the sports equipment section.
Yeah.
That tells the assistant, "Okay, I am ready for your expertise now."
What's fascinating here is the cultural difference this points to. The sources really highlight that shop assistants in these regions are generally very friendly and helpful, but they place a high value on respecting the customer's space if you signal that you want to shop independently.
And that's a significant contrast with service expectations in other regions where staff might, hover or follow you around until you buy something.
Right, which can feel very high pressure if you're not used to it.
Exactly. So understanding this Western retail dynamic means knowing that once you use that magic phrase, "I'm just browsing," the staff will typically retreat a polite distance. If they keep engaging after that, It can even be perceived as aggressive.
So knowing that phrase is key to a comfortable, low-pressure shopping experience.
It is. It just sets the tone for the entire interaction.
Right, it transforms what could be an awkward moment into a really smooth entry into the retail environment.
So now that we're inside and comfortable, we need the language to articulate what we're doing and what we're hoping to find.
Let's get into the transaction verbs. The source material gave us purchase, buy, and browse.
Right. And this might seem like a small semantic point, but the formality really matters here. Buy is the most common, it's casual, it's direct, it's what you use in everyday conversation.
I need to go buy some milk.
Exactly. But purchase elevates the formality. It suggests a more significant transaction, or it's used in a written or business context.
So you might say, I made a large purchase today. Or you'd see on a form, please review the terms of purchase.
Precisely. It's less likely you'd say, I purchased a soda. It just sounds a bit off.
And browse, as we've already established, means looking casually without that immediate intent to buy. But that leads us to a great idiomatic term, window shopping.
Oh, window shopping. It's a wonderful concept. It means looking at items displayed in store windows, often just for pleasure or aspiration, without any intention of actually spending money.
It's kind of like consumption as a form of entertainment.
It is, and our notes suggested it's a really popular activity in big city centers like London, New York, or Sydney.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. The language of value and price reduction. If you want to be a savvy shopper, you have to master this promotional lexicon.
You really do. Getting the language wrong here can actually mean missing out on savings.
So let's break it down, starting with that highly desirable word, bargain.
Right. A bargain isn't just defined by a low price. It's about the relationship between price and quality.
So it's about getting excellent value for money.
Yes, it implies a subjective victory. You've won, in a way.
The example we found perfectly illustrates this excitement. It was, I found an amazing bargain at the electronics store. This laptop was half price.
See, the use of amazing and half price shows that a bargain is something worth reporting, something worth boasting about. It implies the original price was high, which makes the final price a huge win.
Okay, so contrast that with discount.
A discount is purely quantifiable. It's mathematical. It's a reduction in the original price, usually expressed as a percentage or a set amount of money. It's the formal mechanism.
So the store would say, we're offering a 20% discount on all winter clothing this week.
Exactly. It's straightforward. It's the rule being applied.
And then there's the big overarching term, sale.
Right. Sale defines the general promotional period or the event. If a store is having a sale, that's the general context. Within that sale, items have been discounted. And if you buy something that was heavily reduced,
You got a bargain.
you got a bargain. It's like a hierarchy of saving terms.
The sources also introduce terms that are really crucial for customer retention, things savvy shoppers see all the time, like loyalty program or store credit.
A loyalty program is that system where repeat customers earn points or rewards, which then translates into future discounts.
And store credit is so important to distinguish from a refund. If you return an item, sometimes the store will offer you store credit instead of cash back.
Which means they give you a voucher or a credit note that can only be spent at that specific store.
So if you ask for a refund and they offer store credit, you need to know the difference to either push back or accept it.
Mm-hmm. Now, moving past the actual purchase, we need the post-purchase terms. These are necessary for any future interactions. First and foremost, the receipt.
The proof of purchase, the paper or digital link to the transaction.
And without it, your power to resolve any future issues is, well, it's severely limited.
Then we have the two distinct outcomes of returning an item. If you want your money back, the cash, the money put back on your card, you asked for a refund.
Right. A refund financially cancels the transaction.
But if you just want to swap the item for something else, a different size, a different color, a different item, you ask for an exchange.
And confusing these two words will lead to a lot of frustration at the customer service desk.
If you say, I want a refund, but you really just want a different size, you've started a financial cancellation process that you didn't need to.
Mastering these terms is really the difference between a fluent, smooth interaction and a clumsy, repetitive conversation with the assistant.
Absolutely.
We've mastered the language of the storefront and the products, but, none of that matters if we can't actually complete the transaction smoothly.
Right.
So let's transition from the shopping bag to the wallet and dive into the practical financial nuts and bolts.
Exactly. Understanding currency and payment methods is foundational proficiency. While the numerical value is the same, the terminology and the divisions of currency are essential.
We need to be specific at the regional names: US dollar, British pound sterling, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and so on.
And it's helpful to know how they're structured internally. The US dollar is divided into 100 cents. The British pound sterling is divided into 100 pence.
The singular being penny. Right. And knowing these subunits really helps when you're handling change.
We also need the precise terminology for physical money, which can often trip up learners.
Yes. The general term is cash. But when you're referring to paper money specifically, we use bills, that's predominantly in the US and Canada, or notes, which is more common in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand.
And for the metal currency, we use coins.
And when you receive the leftover money after paying for something, you call that change. So if a cashier asks, "Do you need any change back?" they're talking about the difference between what you paid and the cost.
This clarity matters. I mean, imagine you're paying 20 pounds and the cashier asks, "Do you have any 2-pound coins?" If you only know the word cash, that conversation gets a lot more complicated.
It does. And this is where you, the listener, need to feel confident initiating the payment process. These are the crucial inquiry phrases that need to be ready to go.
They eliminate any ambiguity before you even reach for your wallet. Like, do you accept credit cards?
Or, can I pay by debit card? This distinction is key because sometimes smaller stores only accept debit cards, which have lower fees for them.
Do you take contactless payment? So, using a card or a phone to just tap and go.
And the simple verification.
Oh.
Is cash okay? These simple questions just ensure a smooth transaction. They prevent that awkward moment when everything is scanned, and then you find out you don't have a supported payment method.
Okay, now let's step up to the advanced financial vocabulary. This isn't just for shopping. This is for discussing your overall economic situation.
Right. Talking to banks, discussing savings goals, understanding business contracts. We start with budget.
A budget is not just a number. It is a proactive strategy, a plan for controlling spending.
The usage example we analyzed is very clear. I need to stick to my budget this month because I'm saving for a vacation. The budget is a control mechanism you use to achieve a future financial goal.
And its counterpart, expenses, the things money is spent on. We found a whole list: rent, groceries, utilities, transportation.
Often referred to collectively as overhead for a business, or living expenses for personal finance.
For bank interactions, we have savings money set aside for the future, often earning interest, and balance, which is the amount of money currently in your account.
You check your balance before you make a withdrawal.
And when dealing with the bank itself, you need those transaction verbs: withdraw, which is taking money out of the account, usually at an ATM.
And deposit, putting money into the account. I need to make a large deposit this afternoon.
Now for the terms that require a deeper understanding. First, interest.
This is the fee charged for borrowing money, like on a credit card, often expressed as APR, annual percentage rate, or it's the money paid to you for saving money.
So understanding the type of interest, whether it's helping you or hurting you, is proficiency in action.
It really is. And we have to pause on invoice because this is vital for anyone dealing with larger purchases or business-to-business transactions.
Right. An invoice is basically a formal, detailed bill requesting payment for goods or services that have already been delivered.
And it includes specific line items, the cost, any tax like VAT or sales tax, and crucially, the payment terms, which state when the money is due. For example, net 30 days.
Knowing the structure of an invoice elevates you from a casual shopper to a business-ready professional.
Absolutely. If you call someone to chase a payment, you'd say, "I am calling regarding invoice number 405, which is 30 days overdue."
And finally, a very common consumer term, often associated with bigger ticket items like cars, furniture, or high-end electronics: installment or payment plans.
This just refers to paying for an item in smaller structured amounts over an extended period. For example, I bought this new refrigerator on a 12-month installment plan.
So the key concept here is that you possess the item now, but you're committed to making a series of future payments until the total cost plus any interest is covered.
This demonstrates not just transaction language, but the ability to discuss long-term financial commitments.
Okay, this is where we bring all the previous sections together. We're going to run through a detailed minute-by-minute scenario, the clothing store interaction.
Yes, because it encompasses everything from polite engagement to promotional language and the final payment dialogue. It really helps you internalize the conversational flow.
Let's imagine we are in a busy clothing retailer. The initial interaction often revolves around finding the place to try things on, the fitting room or changing room.
And you need a politely worded request that recognizes the staff's authority.
So the polite, necessary opening, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the fitting rooms are? I'd like to try on these jeans."
And notice the use of could you, which is much less demanding than just where the fitting rooms.
Right. And the assistant's direction needs to be clear, using orientational vocabulary. They might say something like,
Certainly, the fitting rooms are at the back of the store, just past the shoe section, opposite the accessories wall. They're using landmarks within the store to guide you.
okay, let's add some complexity. What if the item you want isn't on the shelf? You need specific, clear phrases to ask the staff to check the inventory.
You might say, I love this sweater, but I don't see my size. Do you happen to have a large in the back?
And a good assistant will reply, "Let me check the stockroom for you," or "I can check the inventory system to see if we have one."
Which introduces the terms stockroom and inventory system, vital for understanding how retail logistics actually work behind the scenes.
Okay, so after trying on the items, you've made your decision. The decision to purchase phrase needs to be simple and declarative to end the finding phase.
These fit perfectly. I'll take them. How much are they?
And this is the prime moment for the upsell or the promotional offer. Staff are often trained to seize this opportunity to increase the total transaction value.
The sources provided an excellent example of a complex promotional offer being woven right into the dialogue.
Right. These jeans are $75. However, we have a special promotion today. Buy 2 full price items and you get 15% off your total purchase.
As the customer, you need the language to process that offer and either decline or accept it. You might ask, does that discount apply if I buy socks? Or just,
No, thank you. I think I'll just stick to the jeans today.
exactly. If you accept, you then move to the actual physical location of payment. As we noted, there are 3 common names for this area: checkout counter, register, or in British English, the till.
The final transaction dialogue is highly standardized. The cashier announces the final amount and asks for your preference.
That'll be $77.50, including tax. How would you like to pay?
And you, the confident shopper, reply with precision. "I'll pay with my credit card, please, using the chip and PIN." Or maybe, "Can I pay cash? Here is a $100 bill."
Which cues the cashier to calculate the change, or perhaps naming a mobile payment service. Do you accept Apple Pay? I'd like to tap my phone.
The sale then concludes with the closing procedures. The cashier handles the payment, prints the receipt,
A document you must remember to keep.
and then asks the final practical question: would you like a bag?
This question is a critical cultural cue because in many places now, plastic or even paper bags often cost extra, either as an environmental levy or just a fee.
Right, so your decision demonstrates an awareness of modern retail practices. You might say, "Yes, please, I'll take a bag, even if there's a small fee."
Or, demonstrating environmental awareness, no thank you, I have my reusable tote bag. This shows a command not just of vocabulary, but of the whole retail etiquette.
Okay, so perfection rarely happens in retail. The ability to handle returns, exchanges, and unexpected issues professionally in English is maybe the highest level of retail proficiency.
This is where clarity under stress becomes so important.
So initiating a return requires clarity, politeness, and a focus on documentation.
You start by stating the reason and inquiring about the rules. Hello, I purchased this shirt 2 days ago, but unfortunately, it doesn't fit properly. Could you please explain your return policy?
And the moment you mention a return, the first thing, the absolute linchpin of the whole resolution, the store employee will ask is,
Do you have your receipt?
every single time.
That document is your proof, your authority. Without it, your options narrow dramatically.
Then they'll clarify the common policy conditions, which you need to recognize immediately.
The policy allows returns within 30 days, provided the item is unworn and has all original tags attached. These clauses protect the store against misuse.
Once the policy is established, you have to state your exact intent, using the correct terminology we talked about earlier.
If you want the money back, I'd like a full refund, please, back to my original form of payment.
And if you want to swap, could I exchange it for a larger size or perhaps a different color?
And if the size isn't available, you might ask, since you don't have it in my size, could I take store credit instead of a refund? Introducing store credit as that middle ground.
Right. Beyond returns, sometimes the error happens right at the register. We need to know how to troubleshoot a price discrepancy without sounding accusatory.
Yes, you have to inquire professionally, relying on the evidence you saw. The key tactful phrase is something like, "Excuse me, I think there might be an error."
The sign above the stack of sweaters said they were on sale for $30, but the register is showing $45.
You're just highlighting a factual discrepancy for them to resolve.
And the staff response should be professional. I apologize sincerely for the confusion. Let me check the shelf signage and correct that price for you right away.
But what about errors you find later, after you've left the store and you're reviewing your bank statement or your receipt?
You'd need to call the store or go back in person, armed with that document. The approach focuses on the evidence.
I believe I was charged incorrectly for one of my items. It seems I was double charged for the shirt. Could you please review my receipt?
And finally, that moment of temporary panic, the declined card. We need phrases that maintain your composure and signal your intent to solve the issue.
This is common. It's usually a bank's fraud flag or insufficient funds. It's not a big deal.
So the simple, direct phrases are best.
It seems my card isn't working for some reason. Could I try tapping it again? Or, that's strange. Let me use a different card, please.
The important thing is just to avoid embarrassment and keep the process moving. You're taking ownership of the issue without blaming the store's technology.
Exactly.
Let's dedicate some serious time to payment methods now, because understanding the underlying financial mechanism, not just the name, is crucial.
Especially the key distinction between using your own money and borrowing money.
Okay, let's recap cash, physical bills, and coins. The sources noted that cash gives the user immediate control.
People often choose to operate on a cash-only budget, specifically to manage their spending, because the act of handing over physical money creates a psychological barrier to overspending.
Next, credit cards. This is fundamentally a mechanism for borrowing money from a financial institution.
You acquire the goods now, and the money is paid back later, often with interest. And when you ask a merchant, you have to be specific. Do you accept Visa or MasterCard?
Then there are debit cards, and this is a fundamentally different and crucial thing to understand.
The money comes out immediately from your existing bank account. You are strictly using your own funds. If you don't have the balance, the transaction will fail.
Which is why it's often preferred for budgeting.
We also have the modern convenience methods, which have proliferated so quickly. Contactless payment or tap and pay.
This technology lets you complete small transactions quickly, using a card or phone like Apple Pay or Google Pay, without needing to enter a PIN. It's the new standard of retail speed.
And for larger, non-retail transactions like bills or bigger online purchases, we use bank transfers or wire transfers. This is a direct shift of funds from one bank account to another.
And the language here has to be precise to avoid any financial errors.
Okay, let's pivot entirely to the terminology specific to online shopping or e-commerce, which really has its own specialized vocabulary.
When you decide on an item, you click Add to Cart. That cart functions as your digital shopping bag.
When you finalize the purchase, you click Checkout. The process then moves into logistics, shipping, the process of transporting the goods, and delivery, the moment it arrives at your door.
And the crucial piece of information after an online transaction is the tracking number, which lets you follow the package's journey.
And every online purchase must be secured by secure payment protocols to protect your sensitive financial data.
Online shopping also introduces specific inventory jargon that you have to understand instantly, like this item is currently out of stock.
Which means the inventory is depleted. You can't buy it right now, which means you have to ask a follow-up question. When do you expect this item to be restocked?
But the phrases designed to create urgency are much more manipulative and much more common.
Oh yes, only 3 items remaining in stock, order soon, or limited quantities available.
These psychological tactics leverage scarcity to pressure you into an immediate transaction, forcing you to deviate from your careful budget.
And finally, the role of customer reviews. This is social proof, which we rely on so heavily online.
The language of reviews is simple but powerful. Seeing 4.5 stars out of 5 immediately establishes confidence.
And review comments often use the exact value language we learned earlier, like great value for money, highly recommended. It connects the transaction language back to that subjective appraisal.
It's also important to recognize terms like pre-order, paying for an item before it's released, and back order, an order for an item that's out of stock but will be filled later.
These concepts are just vital for understanding modern consumer behavior.
We've armed you with the vocabulary and the dialogue, but now we have to provide the cultural context. Where you are shopping really dictates the language and the behavior you should be using.
Let's start by distinguishing between different shopping venues. If you're traveling or moving, you need to know what kind of interaction to expect.
Okay, let's start big. Department stores. These are large, multi-section stores offering everything from cosmetics to furniture.
Think of the famous international equivalents. Macy's in the US, Harrods in London, David Jones in Australia. The service is usually helpful, but it's more generalized.
Then you have the small, specialized shops, the boutiques.
These are places for unique or designer items, catering to a niche taste, and they often result in a more personalized, detailed shopping experience.
Larger complexes are known as malls in the US.
Or shopping centers in the UK and Australia. They just house dozens of different retailers under one roof.
My favorite place for a truly unique experience is a market. These can be outdoor or indoor with multiple independent vendors selling unique items.
Crafts, antiques, or in the case of a farmer's market, fresh local produce. And this is also the primary venue where negotiation is expected.
And finally, the indispensable convenience stores, small, long-hour shops known by various regional names.
Corner shops in the UK, bodegas in US cities, or milk bars in Australia. They just prioritize speed and accessibility over a huge range of products.
Now for the critical cultural moment that causes the most confusion for travelers, tipping.
This is essential region-specific travel knowledge because the expectations vary so dramatically.
In the United States, tipping, or gratuity, is customary and explicitly expected in most service situations.
Right. The standard in restaurants is 15 to 20% of the pre-tax bill. And this practice exists because service workers often receive a lower statutory minimum wage. Their tips are a necessary part of their income.
But the culture of tipping extends beyond restaurants, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. You are also expected to tip taxi or Uber drivers, hairstylists, even hotel bellhops or housekeeping staff, often a few dollars per bag or per night.
And the polite way to ask is just, is tipping standard practice here?
Contrast that sharply with Australia and New Zealand, where tipping is explicitly not customary or expected.
Because of higher base wages for service staff.
Exactly. While tips are always appreciated, they are not obligatory. And this distinction is vital to prevent overspending or misunderstanding the local economy.
In the United Kingdom, it falls somewhere in the middle.
Appreciated, but not always obligatory. 10 to 15% in restaurants is common, provided the service was good.
And if a service charge is already included in the bill, you are not expected to tip on top of that.
Right. Practically speaking, when you're paying with a card in a US or Canadian restaurant, the machine or the paper receipt will prompt you. You look for the tip or gratuity line where you manually write in or select the extra amount.
So you need to be able to do that math quickly.
And speaking of controlling the price, let's talk about the art of negotiation. We established that prices in regular retail stores are fixed.
But respectful negotiation is an expected and even enjoyable part of markets, antique shops, or when buying used goods.
Your opening phrases have to be respectful and acknowledge the seller's position. You want to test the waters.
You could say, that's a bit more than I was hoping to spend today. Could you do any better on the price?
Or you can tie volume to value. If I buy 2 of these pieces of jewelry, would you be willing to give me a discount?
You can also offer a counterproposal while acknowledging quality. This shows respect. I appreciate the craftsmanship, but my budget for this piece is limited. Could you possibly do 15% off?
Or use a specific payment method as leverage, linking back to our financial section. If I pay cash, could you reduce the price?
This is sometimes accepted by smaller vendors who want to avoid credit card processing fees.
The seller's responses are predictable. They might meet you halfway. I can offer you 10% off, but that's my absolute best price.
Or they might offer a non-monetary concession. This is my best price, but I can throw in free delivery for you.
The exchange should always remain friendly and cooperative. It's a collaborative effort, not a confrontation.
This proficiency with money also requires knowing the common idioms. You don't just talk about money, you use these colorful, descriptive phrases.
Absolutely. Think about describing high cost. That jacket must cost an arm and a leg, meaning it's very expensive.
Or if you can't afford something, buying that car would break the bank, meaning it would drain all your funds.
And if you're managing money carefully, you might say, I'm trying to make ends meet, which means you're trying to earn just enough money to pay for your basic necessities. Using these idioms proves you are really fluent in the cultural lexicon of finance.
Okay, if you're engaging in modern commerce in English-speaking countries, you need to know when the biggest sales happen and what the hyper-specific language of those events truly means.
These sales dictate huge amounts of global spending. Let's start with the key sales holidays, Black Friday.
The quintessential U.S. sales day, held the day after Thanksgiving. It's infamous for high-pressure terms like doorbuster sales deals, so good they are intended to physically draw people through the store door early.
It also features early bird specials, which are timed discounts designed to reward shoppers who queue up before dawn. Understanding this means knowing the best deals are limited to the first few hours.
The sources also detail Cyber Monday, which is the Monday immediately after Black Friday. This holiday is focused almost entirely on online deals.
Often providing steeper discounts on electronics and online services than the physical stores did.
And for those in the UK, Canada, and Australia, we have Boxing Day on December 26th, another major sales day, often focusing on post-holiday inventory clearance.
Those three events really define the calendar of annual consumer spending.
Beyond the holidays, we have different categories of sales based on their purpose. Clearance sales are for quickly getting rid of old inventory.
And they're often advertised with aggressive language. Everything must go, or up to 70% off.
Then you have the dramatic going out of business sales, where everything is liquidated at steep discounts because the store is closing permanently.
The urgency is genuine there, often leading to very deep discounts in the final weeks.
And the routine seasonal sales, like when summer clothing goes on sale in late August or winter coats are discounted in the spring.
Finally, you need to understand the critical fine print language that dictates the sales rules and creates that urgency. If you see the phrase prices as marked,
it means the discount has already been applied, so you shouldn't ask the cashier for a further reduction.
right, and additional discounts at checkout means the sticker price is not the final price. The system will automatically deduct the percentage when the item is scanned.
And tying back to that urgency principle, phrases like while supplies last or limited quantities available are used to signal scarcity.
This language is the retail world's way of saying, hesitate and you will miss out. It encourages impulse buying, a behavior the savvy shopper has to learn to resist.
Understanding this lexicon isn't just about translating words, it's about decoding the sales strategy that's being used on you.
Exactly.
We've truly covered a comprehensive scope today, listener. We've run the full gamut of communication required in modern commerce.
We really have.
We started with that polite cultural exchange of a store greeting, and we ended with decoding the high-pressure urgency of a clearance sale.
So let's quickly review the major areas we secured. We mastered those polite store greetings and the essential difference between a refund, getting your money back, versus an exchange, just swapping the item.
We dissected payment methods, the fundamental understanding of debit versus credit.
And critically, we contextualized regional tipping expectations and acquired those professional negotiation phrases.
The knowledge is here, rooted in the sources we analyzed, but the power, as always, is in the application.
That's the key emphasis we need to leave you with. The sources consistently suggest that the path to mastery is active practice. Use these phrases whenever you can in low-stakes environments first.
Right.
Native speakers are remarkably patient and helpful when they recognize someone making a genuine effort to communicate effectively in their language. Don't fear the mistake. Embrace the interaction.
This proficiency is just incredibly relevant. Whether you're traveling for leisure, studying abroad, working internationally, or just navigating the global world of online shopping and bank statements.
These are the conversations that underpin modern life.
They are.
Indeed. We covered phrases that allow you to compare values, such as, which one is better value for money? Or, is this one worth the extra cost? These were once central to the savvy shopping experience, a personal human negotiation of true worth.
A process that required skill and judgment.
Exactly.
So as we close this deep dive, let's leave you with something to mull over that ties together all this vocabulary and culture, connecting the past to the present state of consumerism.
In an era where apps instantly compare prices for us, removing the need for research, and where massive pre-scheduled sales events like Black Friday dictate high-volume consumption, we have to ask ourselves, how has technology changed our ability to achieve a true bargain, that moment of personal victory over the listed price?
Has the ease of mass purchasing and constant system-generated sales diminished the skill and enjoyment of respectful human negotiation?
Think about the essential difference between the frictionless, solitary act of clicking Add to Cart versus the friendly, necessary back and forth required to ask a market vendor, if I pay cash right now, could you possibly reduce the price?
Something profound to ponder as you confidently apply your new, highly proficient financial and shopping English skills. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope to see you in the next one. Keep practicing, keep learning, and happy shopping.